The rain tapped lightly against the window, echoing the restlessness in my chest. At 40, I thought I had life figured out, a stable job, a safe marriage, and the kind of routine that blurred days into one another. Then Daniel came back, into my life, and suddenly, nothing felt certain anymore. I'd first met Daniel years ago, when he was just my younger brother's college friend. He was always around laughing in our living room, joining us for dinners. He became a familiar part of our home, as steady and constant as the old oak tree in the backyard. Back then, he was just a kid, bright-eyed, idealistic, and effortlessly charming. Time moved on. My brother moved away, and Daniel became a memory, a face from the past. Until one evening 3 months ago, when I walked into the cafe near my office, and there he was, sitting alone, hands wrapped around a coffee mug, eyes lost in thought. He looked up, and for a moment, I wasn't sure he recognized me. Then he smiled, that same easy smile from years ago. "Claire," he said, his voice gentler than I remembered. "Is that really you?" We started with small talk, work, family, all the years that had slipped by. But he wasn't the same boy I remembered. That easy charm had matured into something quieter, more grounded. His once animated gestures were now steady, thoughtful, and his eyes still dark, but now holding something deeper. I told myself it was just nostalgia, a harmless reconnection. But when he asked if we could meet again, something inside me stirred, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Our second meeting was at a bookstore. He remembered how much I loved to read and had found an old copy of my favorite novel. "Thought you'd like this," he said, handing it to me. Our fingers brushed, and the spark that followed was almost too much. I should have walked away, but T.1 meeting turned into many, coffee turned into lunch, lunch into long walks. He opened up about his broken engagement, his travels, and the loneliness that never quite left. I shared things I hadn't voiced in years, the slow erosion of connection in my marriage, the quiet ache of wondering if this was all life had to offer. We hadn't crossed any lines, not yet. But everything, the looks, the lingering touches, the hours stolen from routine, felt like steps toward something we couldn't undo. And the truth, I wanted it. The guilt would hit me later, when I lay next to my husband at night, his breathing calm beside me, while my thoughts drifted to Daniel. One evening, Daniel and I sat in a park as the sun dipped below the horizon. "What are we doing?" he asked, his voice soft. I had no answer. I didn't know if this was a momentary lapse or something more. All I knew was that I was standing on the edge of something that terrified and thrilled me. That night, as I climbed into bed, my phone buzzed. "I can't stop thinking about you." I didn't reply. I stared at those words until they blurred. But silence didn't make the feelings go away. They chased me into my dreams, and in the morning, I felt like a stranger. In my own life, at work, I tried to stay busy. Meetings, emails, anything to quiet the storm. But then another message came. Did I cross a line last night? I hesitated. What could I even say? Did I know where the line was anymore? Did I care? No. I typed, "You didn't," and with that, the door opened just a little more. That weekend, we met again, a quiet restaurant outside the city, where no one would recognize us. When I arrived, Daniel was already seated. He stood when he saw me, his expression unreadable. "You came," he said. We talked, but barely touched our food. Skated around the real reason we were there. Then he reached across the table, covering my hand with his. "Claire," he whispered, "I need to know if this is just me." I should have pulled away. I didn't. Instead, I turned my hand over and laced my fingers with his. "It's not just you." His thumb brushed over mine, and I forgot how to breathe. "Then what do we do?" he asked. I didn't know. Driving home was a blur. My husband was watching TV, barely glancing up when I walked in. "Good time?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, too quickly. "Dinner with an old friend." That night, I stared at the ceiling, Daniel's words echoing in my head. I couldn't keep living like this, split between what I had and what I suddenly wanted. I tried pulling away. I told myself to stop, but then Daniel would text, "Thinking of you," and I'd fall right back in. We met one last time, at dusk, in a quiet park. The sky was painted in warm colors, but the air between us was heavy. "I can't do this anymore," he said. My heart dropped. But then he stepped closer. "I can't pretend this is just friendship, not when I feel like this." I wanted to go to him. But my phone buzzed, a message from my husband. "Dinner tonight, just us." And reality crashed back in. "I have to go." I whispered. Daniel didn't stop me. Just nodded, his hands in his pockets like he was holding himself back. At dinner that night, my husband reached across the table and took my hand. You've been distant lately, he said softly. Is everything okay? For the first time in months, I really looked at him, the man who had always been there, and I felt the full weight of what I was risking. I think we need to talk, I said, my voice shaking. He frowned slightly. About what? I took a deep breath, my heart racing. And then, for better or worse, I began to tell him the truth.